there was a boy who couldn't speak properly in his childhood, a boy who endured bullying every single day, whose only sanctuary was a few pigeons on a rooftop. That same boy would one day become the most feared boxer on the planet. And that same man was witnessed by the world, breaking down, becoming lonely, and losing everything. This isn't just a story of Mike Tyson. It is a story of rising from poverty to become a champion, and the journey of a champion becoming a human being, the harsh beginning. Tyson was born in 1966 in a poor, crime-ridden area of Brooklyn, New York. His childhood was spent amidst deprivation, fear, and uncertainty. He was surrounded by shadows of violence, drugs, and crime, where surviving every day was a war in itself. At a very young age, Tyson's father disappeared from his life. In his father's absence, the entire responsibility of the household fell on his mother's shoulders. Struggling with limitless hardship and poverty, his mother tried to raise her children alone, but financial instability and social pressure made their lives even more difficult. Young Tyson often spent days without eating, proper clothing, a safe shelter, or a normal childhood. None of these were in his fate. At school, he was a neglected and deprived child. Taking advantage of his weakness, others mocked and abused him. This neglect and humiliation gradually built up a massive amount of rage and resentment inside him. This harsh reality forced Tyson onto the streets at a young age. The criminal environment slowly pulled him toward the wrong path, but this dark time would later turn his life around. Because his struggle, this pain, all of it created an indomitable strength within him that would one day introduce him to the world with a different identity, the weakness and the sanctuary. In his childhood, Tyson was thin, timid, and stuttering was his biggest weakness. Whenever he tried to speak, his tongue would get tied, and the boys around him would seize that opportunity. Whether at school or on the neighborhood streets, almost every day he had to endure mockery, insults, and physical bullying. Every taunt shattered his self-confidence further, and he slowly began to withdraw into himself. Amidst this cruel reality, there was only one sanctuary in Tyson's life: the pigeons on the roof. High above the noise and violence of Brooklyn, in that small space on the roof, he found peace spending time with the birds. The pigeons were his silent friends, who didn't judge him or mock him. But one day, darkness fell even upon that place of peace. An older boy from the neighborhood, as a cruel joke, brutally killed one of Tyson's favorite pigeons. In an instant, his small heart broke. For the first time, the fear and humiliation stored inside him turned into the fire of protest. After this incident, Tyson no longer remained silent. Behind the tears and the trembling voice, a new entity was born. One that no longer wanted to bear the burden of injustice. The pain of losing that pigeon turned the tide of his life. Because that day, within a weak child, the first spark of resistance was born, which would one day transform him into a terrifying force. The turning point, meeting the legend. While Tyson's life was confined within the four walls of a juvenile detention center, a crucial turning point arrived. There, he first met Bobby Stewart, a former boxer and counselor who, unlike everyone else, didn't see Tyson as just a troubled teenager. Instead, he saw a talent like a diamond in the rough. Bobby Stewart noticed that Tyson's punching power was abnormal. There was an explosion in his fist and a terrifying intensity in his eyes. That power was unrefined, but hidden within was infinite potential. Bobby realized, if this boy could be placed in the right hands, he could make history. From this realization, Bobby Stewart took him to the legendary coach, Cus D'Amato. At first sight, D'Amato saw something inside Tyson that he had seen in very few boxers. According to him, Tyson didn't just have power, he had the mentality of a world champion. D'Amato accepted Tyson not just as a coach, but as a guardian. He gave him a place in his own home and provided a new life of security and discipline. In that house, for the first time, Tyson's life gained a structure of rules, goals, and dreams. Under Cus D'Amato, Tyson began to learn how to transform fear into power and how to control anger and use it inside the ring. Emerging from the darkness of the detention center, Tyson's future slowly began to move toward the light in this home. This meeting wasn't just an introduction to a coach. It was the first chapter of the birth of a legend, the rise of the Iron Mike. Under Cus D'Amato's strict discipline and unwavering faith, Tyson's life began to move to a completely new rhythm. Every day was filled with grueling practice, dawn runs, hours of punching drills, and the silent war of mental preparation. D'Amato taught him that the mind is a more terrifying weapon than physical strength. If you cannot conquer fear, you can never be a champion in the ring. Tyson was the perfect reflection of that teaching. At a young age, his punch became as destructive as a thunderbolt. His speed and aggression were unstoppable. Whenever he stepped into the ring, fear was visible in the eyes of his opponents. Because they knew this youth didn't just come to win, he came to establish dominance. This rigorous preparation resulted in making history. At just 20 years old, Tyson won the heavyweight world championship crown. In that moment, he became the youngest heavyweight champion in boxing history, a record that remains legendary to this day. From the impoverished rooftops of Brooklyn to the lights of the world stage, Tyson's journey proves that with the right guidance and strict discipline, an immortal champion can be born even from the most broken childhood. The void and the downfall. Cus D'Amato was not just Tyson's coach. He was his guardian guide and mental refuge. But after his death, the control and protection suddenly vanished from Tyson's life. That void gradually made him mentally lonely. Outside the ring, there was no one left to stop him or show him the right path. In D'Amato's absence, the wrong people crowded around Tyson. Some used him, while others made his decisions more complex with bad advice. Fame, money, and power. Everything came very quickly, but he didn't have the mental preparation to handle them at the time. During this period, his personal life collapsed. His first marriage did not last. The breakdown of the relationship further increased his mental instability. The terrifying warrior inside the ring became a confused and lonely man outside of it, as a result of wrong decisions and uncontrolled behavior. The biggest blow hit Tyson's life, a prison sentence. This event destroyed not only his personal life, but also pushed his boxing career to the brink of ruin. The champion's crown, respect, and fear. Everything started slipping away one by one. The name that was once a symbol of unstoppable power turned into a headline of controversy and frustration. This chapter proves that no matter how great the talent, without proper guidance, it can destroy itself. The darkest moment, the bite fight. The year was 1997. The world witnessed one of the most discussed and shameful moments in boxing history. In that match against Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson lost control, not just as a boxer, but as a human being. Inside the match, frustration, rage, and mental pressure exploded all at once. The feeling of losing his invincibility inside the ring and allegations of being repeatedly obstructed, all together. Tyson's internal turmoil reached its peak. In that moment, he made a decision that will never be forgotten in the history of boxing. He bit Holyfield's ear. Immediately after this incident, the match was stopped. Tyson was disqualified. From a world champion to a controversial character, his image shattered in an instant. The media, the audience, and even the boxing community were stunned. This ear-biting incident wasn't just an act of misconduct. It was an expression of Tyson's accumulated rage, mental instability, and lack of control. The discipline and mental balance that had been lost after Cus D'Amato's death found its most horrific expression in this event. This chapter made Tyson immortal in boxing history, but for a very different reason. It was one of the darkest chapters of his life, which remains inextricably linked to his name to this day, the loss of an empire. While Tyson was terrifying and unstoppable inside the ring, he was equally unaware of managing money and fame outside of it. Throughout his career, he earned nearly $400 million, which was once a symbol of unimaginable success. But the guidance to manage that massive wealth properly was missing from his life. Bad financial management, unnecessary luxury, and uncontrolled spending slowly began to swallow his assets. Luxury cars, piles of jewelry, private jets, expensive parties, and the demands of the opportunistic people around him. Everything combined meant that the money disappeared even faster than it had arrived. Added to this were legal battles, compensations, tax issues, and the financial burden of past wrong decisions. The once unstoppable champion realized that everything had slipped out of his hands. Finally, in 2003, Mike Tyson officially declared bankruptcy. transforming from the owner of hundreds of millions to a man burdened by debt. This fall was another cruel reality of his life. This chapter proves that if fame and money are not managed with discipline and awareness, they can turn the greatest success into a void. Tyson's story isn't just one of power. It is a deep lesson in caution, a new identity, finding peace. After countless controversies, falls, and dark chapters, Mike Tyson is a different man today. At 59 years old, he is no longer that angry, restless warrior. Today he is much more calm, steady, and self-aware. Every mistake and every fall in his life has taught him the meaning of self-control, patience, and forgiveness. The man who once could not control his rage and resentment has today recognized the darkness within himself and chosen the path to conquer it. In Tyson's life now, there is no revenge. There is self-improvement, self-purification, and a search for mental health. The reflection of his new life is his popular podcast, Hotboxing. Through this platform, he is now reaching millions of people. Here, he doesn't just tell stories of his boxing life. He talks about life, mistakes, lessons, mental health, self-control, and the power of change. The terrifying Tyson of the ring is today a name of inspiration outside the ring. In his voice, there is no longer just aggression, there is realization. In his words, there is no longer just power, there is peace. This chapter of Tyson proves that a human life is not just a story of downfall. If one wishes, light can be born after every darkness. The man who was once a symbol of terrifying power has today become a symbol of change, wellness, and peace. Family and legacy. After long struggles, controversies, and turmoil, Mike Tyson is now on the path of a different life. Currently, he is living a calm, modest, and steady life in Las Vegas with his wife, Kiki Spicer, and their children. The man who once found himself only within the ring, fame, and fighting. Today his family have become the center of his life. To Tyson, boxing is no longer his primary identity. His greatest responsibility and pride is building the future of his children as a father, spending time with his children, and standing by them in their education and mental development. These things are now the priorities of his life, learning from the mistakes of the past. He wants his children to have a life where there is discipline, love, and mental stability. Tyson hasn't forgotten the pain and loneliness of his own life. Instead, that experience inspires him today to work for society. Currently, he is actively working on the education, mental health, and confidence building of underprivileged children. Tyson believes that without the right guidance, talent can go to waste, just as it almost did in his own life. Therefore, he wants no child going through a struggle to feel alone. Through his charity activities, he is not just providing financial help. He is sharing his own story to teach children how to transform fear, anger, and frustration into power. This chapter proves that Tyson's greatest victory is not in the ring, but in lighting the path of other people's lives. If you like this story, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel to see more inspirational and amazing stories with us.